In recent decades, man's relationship with the environment has been an increasingly debated topic throughout Christendom. Genesis tells us that God created the heavens and the earth, and that as God's servants, man is in charge of taking care of his creation. In Pope Francis' encyclical on the environment, he addresses the need for Christians to take care of the world. Pope Francis argues that environmental destruction stems from the same evil that causes social destruction, moral relativity. He goes on to argue that this is an issue for the entire world to work together, including all Christians. Throughout recent years, the Church has come to the realization that environmental care is not only for scientists, but for those who have a deep love of God's creation.
We've known about this for decades, for over half a century. Try to have a conversation with anyone about climate change, people just tune out.
Climate change.
Climate change.
Climate change. And the problem seems to be getting worse and worse and worse.
Hi, my name is Chip Ingram, author of Culture Shock. And I'd like you to think about something with me. I'd like you to think about the environment. In fact, not just the environment, but the church and the environment. You know, now and then, I think we just need to stop and not take ourselves so seriously and actually say, you know something? I've been really stupid. Can I just go on record? I have been really stupid. I've been a pastor. I love God. I thought I was obeying Him, and I have never given one message in my whole life on the environment up until about a year or so ago. I mean, I never studied it. And you know what? When I did, it's everywhere. I mean, God made us stewards of this planet. Do you know who ought to be the greenest people in the whole world? Followers of Jesus. But not just because it's cool, not just because, you know, I recycle this and I'm green that and, you know, I'm fair trade this or that. We want to do it because it's a mandate from God. So let me ask you, how environmentally conscious are you? Of course there's balance. Of course we're stewards. We don't worship the Mother Earth. But have you ever done some research on the environment? Do you know what the Bible says about the environment? I just have to tell you, it rocked my world. Everywhere I turned, the Bible talked about the earth is the Lord's, and then it would talk about me being a steward.
One of the buzzwords of recent years has been sustainability. And like all buzzwords, it tends to be used annoyingly all over the place, often for things it doesn't really fit. But what the word points to is the sense of obligation that most of us share at some deep level. The obligation to hand on to our children and grandchildren a legacy that helps them live and flourish. Building to last is something we all understand. And if we live in a context where we construct everything from computers to buildings to relationships on the assumption that they'll need to be replaced before long, what have we lost? Christians, like Jews and many other religious people too, talk a lot about God as faithful. God is involved in building to last, in creating a sustainable world and sustainable relationships with us human beings. He doesn't give up on the material of human lives. He doesn't throw it all away and start again. And He asks us to approach one another and our physical world with the same commitment. The life of Jesus, the life in which God identifies completely with our flesh and blood, is the supreme sign of that commitment. God doesn't do waste. He doesn't regard anyone as a waste of space, as not worth His time. From the very beginnings of life to its end, whether they're successful, articulate, productive, or not. And so, a life that communicates a bit of what God is like is a life that doesn't give up, that doesn't settle down with a culture of waste and disposability, whether with people or with things.
The scientific consensus is that we are causing global warming. This is Patagonia 75 years ago and the same glacier today. This is Mount Kilimanjaro 30 years ago and last year. Within the decade, there will be no more snows of Kilimanjaro. This is really not a political issue so much as a moral issue. Is it possible that we should prepare against other threats besides terrorists? Our ability to live is what is at stake.